Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is, love doesn't start when you meet your person. It starts when you meet yourself. Because until you learn to love, respect, and understand who you are, you'll keep mistaking attention for affection, chaos for chemistry, and validation for connection. The love you're searching for isn't hiding out there. It's waiting to be unlocked in here. And the moment you stop chasing someone to fill your emptiness and start becoming someone full of purpose, peace, and power, that's the moment love will stop running from you and start running toward you. And love is not something that just happens to you. It's something you grow into, something you create by who you become. We spend so much of our lives searching for our person, thinking they're hidden somewhere out there, waiting for us to find them like a lost treasure. But the truth is, your person doesn't just appear when the timing is right, they appear when you are ready to recognize them. When you've done the work within yourself to become someone who can both give and receive love without losing who you are in the process. And the journey to finding your person isn't about scanning every face in the room, waiting for a spark that feels like destiny. It's about becoming so deeply connected to yourself that when someone truly sees you, you recognize the reflection of your growth in them. You stop chasing potential, and instead, you start aligning with people who are already living the truth you're living. And you see, most people think love starts with attraction, chemistry, timing, but real love starts with energy. It starts with what you give off when no one's watching. When you walk into a room with self assurance that doesn't need validation. When you know that your worth is not determined by who chooses you, but by how consistently you choose yourself. And finding your person begins when you stop settling for the version of love that keeps you anxious, waiting, guessing. It begins when you stop trying to convince someone to see your value and start embodying it so completely that you no longer chase, you attract. Because love that's meant for you doesn't require you to shrink yourself. It requires you to stand taller. It calls you to live your truth so boldly that only the person who resonates at that same frequency can truly meet you there. And you don't attract love by being perfect. You attract love by being real. By being vulnerable enough to say, this is who I am. These are my dreams, my fears, my quirks, my scars, and I'm not hiding them anymore. The right person won't run from that. They'll lean in closer because they're not looking for perfection either. They're looking for truth. But before that happens, you have to build a life that's already full. You can't wait for someone to complete you when you haven't yet learned to complete yourself. You have to fall in love with your mornings, your silence, your hobbies, your growth. You have to make your world so rich that someone entering it feels like an addition, not a rescue. That's when relationships stop being escapes and start becoming partnerships. And when you find your person, they won't rescue you from loneliness. They'll celebrate your solitude. They'll be drawn to the fact that you have a life outside of them, a purpose that fuels you, a joy that doesn't depend on them showing up. Because love thrives where two whole people meet, not where two halves come together hoping to become one. And if you want to find your person, stop looking for someone who fits an image and start looking for someone who feels like peace. Someone whose energy quiets your fears instead of amplifying them. Someone who brings out the calm, not the chaos. The butterflies are beautiful, but they shouldn't come with a knot in your stomach. The right connection doesn't drain you, it steadies you. It's not about endless drama. It's about emotional safety. And that kind of love begins with self-awareness. When you understand your patterns, you stop repeating the cycles that kept you stuck. You stop confusing intensity with intimacy. You stop thinking love has to hurt to be real. You begin to choose differently, to choose better, to choose consciously. Because your person isn't found in chaos, They're found in clarity, and sometimes we have to lose ourselves in the wrong people to realize who we truly are. But that's the point of those experiences, not to make you bitter, but to make you better. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every almost. Love, it all taught you something about what you need, what you deserve, and what you will no longer accept. Every time you got back up, you were refining your standards. You were growing into the person capable of handling the love you're meant for. And because your person won't come when you're pretending to be someone else, they come when you're authentic. When you've stopped playing roles to earn affection, when you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am proud of who I've become, and I'm not afraid to be seen exactly as I am. That's when you stop settling. That's when you start magnetizing the people who see your light instead of dimming it. And your person isn't the one who makes your heart race for a moment. It's the one who makes your soul feel at home. They'll challenge you to grow, yes, but they'll also support you through that growth. They'll remind you that love isn't about possession, it's about partnership. It's about building something together, not clinging out of fear of losing it. And finding your person doesn't mean life suddenly becomes perfect. It means you've found someone who wants to face the imperfections with you, someone who meets you with grace in the middle of your storms, someone who listens not to reply, but to understand, someone who doesn't just love who you are today, but also believes in who you're becoming. But remember, you have to make space for them. That means letting go of the people who drain you, the patterns that limit you, the stories you tell yourself that say love isn't for you. Because when you hold on to what's not right, you block what is. Sometimes the universe can't send you your person because you're too busy trying to make the wrong one work. And the moment you release what isn't meant for you, you create space for what is. And when that person comes, you'll recognize them, not by how hard you have to try, but by how natural it feels. You'll recognize them by the peace that settles in your chest, by the laughter that comes easily, by the way you feel seen without explanation. It won't be perfect, but it will be real, and love isn't something you fall into by accident, it's something you walk into with awareness. It's the result of two people who have done the work, who have healed their wounds, who have learned to communicate and to love with intention. And when you've built that inner foundation, love stops being something you chase. It becomes something that flows to you. And so, don't rush the process. Don't measure your timeline against anyone else's. The person meant for you isn't late, they're arriving right on time, but they're being prepared just like you are. Every moment you spend growing, healing, and becoming the best version of yourself, you're getting closer to them. And the more you pour into yourself, the clearer your standards become. You stop confusing attention with affection, attraction with alignment. You stop accepting crumbs because you realize you deserve the whole table. You stop chasing love because you've learned that love doesn't need to be chased. It's built, chosen, nurtured. And when you finally meet your person, you'll realize they weren't the missing piece. They were the mirror reflecting back everything you've become. Because you found them the moment you found you. And the moment you begin to understand that love isn't a destination but a reflection of your inner world, something shifts within you. You stop searching for someone to complete you, and you begin creating a life that feels so good, so deeply aligned, that when love comes, it feels like a continuation, not a rescue. You start realizing that your person isn't meant to fix the broken parts of you. They're meant to meet you in your wholeness, to celebrate the growth you've fought for, to walk beside you as you continue to evolve. But before you can meet that kind of love, you have to build the courage to face yourself, to sit with your fears, your insecurities, your loneliness, without running to distraction, because most people chase relationships to avoid themselves. They want someone else to make them feel good enough, wanted, worthy. Yet that never lasts because no one can fill a void you refuse to acknowledge. The love you seek outside of you is first born from the love you learn to give within, and this means asking the hard questions. What parts of me am I still hiding because I'm afraid they'll be rejected? What patterns do I keep repeating that sabotage the love I say I want? Where have I mistaken attention for care or control for connection? Real love begins when you take responsibility for your own emotional world. When you stop waiting for someone to heal you and you start becoming the safe space you've always wanted someone else to be. And you can't meet your person if you're still wearing masks. You can't attract authenticity when you're living in pretense. The kind of connection you truly crave only meets you when you're brave enough to be real. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the foundation of intimacy. It's what says, I'm not perfect, but I'm open. It's what makes love feel alive, spontaneous, and real. And when you show up authentically, you filter out those who are only drawn to your performance. You stop wasting energy trying to be liked, and you start being loved for who you actually are. That's the freedom of emotional maturity, the ability to be fully yourself without apology, and to know that anyone who walks away was never meant for you anyway. Your person will not only handle your truth, they'll cherish it. They'll see your openness as strength, not vulnerability to exploit. And so much of love isn't about finding the right person, it's about becoming the right person. Because if you want a deep, emotionally grounded, passionate relationship, you have to build those same qualities within yourself. You can't ask for what you're unwilling to embody. You can't demand honesty if you hide. You can't expect loyalty if you betray your own needs to please others. You can't crave peace while living in emotional chaos. Your energy teaches people how to love you, and every time you choose integrity over comfort, you raise the standard of what love feels like in your life. And sometimes the universe keeps sending you the same kind of relationship, not because you're cursed, but because you haven't yet learned the lesson. The lesson might be boundaries, it might be self-respect, it might be that love isn't proven by how much you suffer for it, but by how much peace it brings you. Until you learn that lesson, you'll keep meeting the same energy in different bodies, but the day you choose differently, everything changes. Because when you raise your vibration, you stop attracting people who feed on your wounds. You start attracting those who resonate with your healing. And that's when things begin to feel different. Conversations become lighter. Love feels easy, not because it lacks depth, but because it's not built on confusion or fear. You stop obsessing over whether someone likes you and start asking yourself, do I feel safe being me around them? You begin to see that attraction without alignment is temporary, that intensity without trust is chaos, and that chemistry is only meaningful when it's paired with consistency. And the right person will make you feel seen, but they'll also hold you accountable. They won't let you stay stuck in your old patterns. They'll challenge you to grow, not through criticism, but through belief in your potential. They'll remind you of your worth in moments you forget it. They won't love you for what you do for them. They'll love you for who you are when the noise fades. That's real partnership. Two people constantly encouraging each other to rise without losing themselves in the process. But you have to be patient. Real love doesn't rush. It unfolds, it deepens, it grows through shared honesty, time, and trust. You can't microwave a connection like that. It's built slowly, moment by moment, through actions that align with words, through small gestures that say, you matter. Your person won't come with fireworks and confusion. They'll come with peace and intention. And that's how you'll know it's different. And until then, use this time wisely. Build the kind of life your future self will thank you for. Focus on growth, not on waiting. Fill your world with joy, passion, purpose. Become so grounded in who you are that you're no longer swayed by temporary attention. When you live with that kind of energy, you stop asking, "When will I find love?" and start realizing love is already here within me. And you'll begin to notice that when you operate from abundance, you attract abundance. When you stop chasing, you allow space for what's meant to come. You'll find that the more deeply you fall in love with your own journey, the more magnetic you become. People feel drawn to that energy not because you need them, but because you radiate something rare, self-contentment. That's the kind of confidence that pulls in love without effort, because it's grounded in truth. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do to find your person is to stop looking altogether. To release the anxiety that says you're running out of time, to trust that everything meant for you will find you when you're ready. You don't need to chase, convince, or force anything. You simply need to be present, aware, and open. Love doesn't happen when you demand it. It happens when you're aligned with it. And when you finally meet them, it won't be the fairy tale you imagined. It will be better. It will be real, human, and raw. You'll disagree sometimes, but you'll also grow. You'll trigger each other, but you'll also heal. You'll make mistakes, but you'll learn how to repair, not run. And that's what makes it exceptional, not perfection, but persistence. The decision to keep showing up for each other every day, not because you have to, but because you want to. And you'll realize that love isn't always grand gestures and cinematic moments. It's in the everyday, the way they listen when you speak, the way they support your goals, the way they make you laugh when you're too serious. Love lives in the details, in the small acts of presence that say, "I see you, I'm here." And when you've done the inner work, you'll recognize that kind of love instantly, because you've already learned how to give it to yourself. And finding your person isn't about luck. It's about readiness. It's about emotional maturity, alignment, and courage. The courage to walk away from what doesn't serve you, to stay true to your standards even when it's lonely, and to trust that what's meant for you can't miss you. It's about knowing that the love you desire already exists. It's waiting for you to rise to the level of it. And when you do, everything changes. You stop settling. You stop tolerating confusion. You stop explaining why you're too much. You begin to own your heart, your space, your standards. You realize that love isn't a prize to be won. It's a reflection of who you are being. The more authentic you become, the more aligned your relationships become. And your person is out there, yes, but so are countless experiences preparing you for them. Every friendship, every heartbreak, every season of solitude, they're all shaping you. They're strengthening your emotional resilience, deepening your understanding of connection, and teaching you how to love better. Nothing you've been through was wasted. Every tear, every lesson, every ending, it's all been guiding you closer to what's real. And when you finally meet the one who's meant to walk beside you, you'll understand why it had to take this long. Because if you had met them before, you might not have been ready. You might have mistaken them for just another chapter instead of the story you were always meant to write together. Timing matters not because love is rare, but because the version of you that's ready for it takes time to become. And so don't lose faith. Keep showing up for your growth, your peace, your purpose. Keep loving yourself fiercely, living boldly, and trusting deeply. Because the love you're looking for isn't somewhere in the distance. It's already finding its way toward you, drawn by the light you're becoming. And when you finally reach that point where you've stopped waiting for love to save you and instead started living as though you are already whole, life begins to surprise you in the most unexpected ways, you start noticing how your energy draws different people, different opportunities, different conversations. You become magnetic, not because you're trying to impress, but because you've found peace in who you are. That peace is powerful. It's the silent confidence that says, I know what I bring, and I'm not afraid to stand alone until I find someone who can meet me there. And here's the truth. Love shows up in the spaces you once filled with fear. The moment you stop fearing being alone, you stop accepting love that feels like survival. The moment you stop fearing rejection, you start expressing your truth unapologetically. That's when real connection happens, when you no longer seek love from a place of lack, but from a place of overflow. You no longer say, please choose me. You say, I choose myself, and whoever joins me in that will experience something extraordinary. And that's the beauty of inner growth. It doesn't just change how you love, it changes who you attract. Because when you start showing up as your authentic self, you stop attracting people who feed your wounds and start attracting people who feed your spirit. You begin to connect with those who value depth over drama, honesty over performance, and presence over perfection. Love transforms from something you chase into something you align with, and yet, alignment doesn't mean it will be effortless. Love will still require work, but the right kind of work. Not the exhausting kind where you're constantly trying to prove your worth, but the kind where you both choose to show up, communicate, and grow together. The work becomes meaningful because it's built on mutual respect. It's not about fixing each other, it's about expanding together. You're no longer looking for someone to fill your gaps, you're looking for someone who complements your wholeness. And that's the kind of love that lasts, the kind where both people have learned to be comfortable standing on their own before walking side by side. You'll find that your person won't complete your life, they'll enhance it, they'll add color to the canvas you've already been painting. They'll amplify your joy, not replace it. And the reason it will feel so different is because you'll recognize that you're no longer giving from emptiness. You're giving from abundance. But before that can happen, you must understand what you're truly worthy of. Too many people mistake comfort for connection, routine for love, familiarity for compatibility. But your person isn't the one who keeps you comfortable. They're the one who inspires your growth while making you feel safe. They won't keep you small to feel secure. They'll challenge you to rise higher, to step into your potential, to embrace the parts of yourself you once silenced. They'll love you in a way that heals, not in a way that hurts. And sometimes you'll meet people who awaken something powerful in you but aren't meant to stay. And that's okay. They were there to teach you something, to reveal what you needed to see. Not everyone you love is meant to be your person, but everyone plays a role in shaping the version of you who will be ready for them. Every heartbreak teaches you resilience. Every disappointment teaches you boundaries. Every goodbye teaches you that love isn't about possession. It's about alignment and timing. And so if you're in a season of waiting, use it. Don't waste it wishing you were somewhere else or with someone else. Use this time to grow your confidence, to deepen your passions, to strengthen your emotional intelligence. Learn how to communicate with compassion. Learn how to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. Learn how to express your needs without guilt, because those are the skills that build lasting relationships. Your person won't just love who you are. They'll need someone who can meet them in maturity. And you can't wait until love arrives to develop that maturity. You have to cultivate it now. The way you handle challenges, communicate under pressure, and hold yourself accountable determines the quality of love you'll experience. Emotional intelligence isn't built overnight. It's built through practice, through being honest even when it's uncomfortable, through setting boundaries even when it feels scary, through learning. That vulnerability isn't something to hide, but something to honor. And when you embody that level of emotional honesty, you begin to see that love is not just a feeling, it's a series of choices. It's choosing understanding over ego. It's choosing patience over pride. It's choosing to listen, even when you'd rather defend. Love, at its core, is choosing to keep showing up for each other, even when it's not easy. That's why the right person isn't the one who makes life effortless. They're the one who makes effort feel worthwhile. And you'll know you've found them when the connection feels both exciting and grounded. You won't be addicted to the highs or terrified of the lows. You'll just feel balanced. You'll notice how calm your nervous system becomes when you're around them. You won't question whether you're too much or if they're going to leave. You'll feel a sense of peace you didn't even know you were craving. And that peace won't come from their validation. It will come from the fact that you've finally found someone who matches the peace you've created within yourself. And that's why doing the inner work is non-negotiable. Because until you've learned how to be whole on your own, you'll keep attracting people who remind you of your unhealed parts. You'll confuse excitement with love, inconsistency with passion, and attention with affection. But when you've done the healing, you'll no longer be impressed by chaos. You'll crave stability, consistency, depth. You'll stop falling for potential and start choosing patterns. You'll stop chasing the thrill of being wanted and start valuing the beauty of being understood. And love, when it's real, won't make you question yourself. It will make you feel more like yourself. It won't demand you to sacrifice your individuality. It will celebrate it. It will feel like partnership, not performance. You'll both bring your strengths, your weaknesses, your dreams, your fears, and instead of judging, you'll support each other through them. That's what an exceptional love life truly is, not perfection, but partnership. And the thing is, your person won't always arrive looking the way you expected. Sometimes they'll come quietly, without grand gestures, without drama, but what they'll bring is consistency, effort, and presence. And that's how you'll know it's not about the fireworks at the start, but about the warmth that lasts long after. They'll make you feel safe enough to exhale, and in that safety, love will deepen in ways you've never experienced before. And when you love yourself enough to wait for that kind of connection, the universe meets you there. It rewards your patience, your boundaries, your growth. It sends someone who reflects the love you've been cultivating within. And when that happens, you won't feel like you've finally been completed. You'll feel like you've finally been met. And so keep becoming, keep evolving, keep tending to your own soul, because your person is doing the same. Every day, they're walking their own path, learning their own lessons, healing their own wounds just like you are. And one day, those two paths will align, not because you were searching desperately, but because you both became ready at the same time. And when that moment comes, you'll look back and realize that every heartbreak, every lonely night, every lesson was preparing you for this. You'll see that nothing was wasted. You'll understand that love was never about finding someone to fill your emptiness. It was about finding someone to share your fullness. And that fullness was something you built from the inside out, and that's the secret to an exceptional love life. It doesn't begin when someone else walks in. It begins the moment you decide to stop abandoning yourself in the pursuit of love. The moment you decide to be your own person first, to know yourself, honor yourself, and love yourself so deeply that anyone who comes into your life must rise to that same standard. Because the love you attract will always mirror the love you give. To others, yes, but most importantly, to yourself. And as you continue walking this path of self, discovery, something beautiful begins to unfold. You start to fall in love with the process of becoming, not just with the idea of arriving. You stop seeing love as a finish line and begin to see it as an experience you create every single day through the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you treat yourself and others. The love you attract becomes a mirror of the love you've cultivated inside, and that's where everything shifts. And because now you're no longer waiting for someone to give you permission to feel loved, you're already living in it. You carry it in your voice, in your boundaries, in your presence. You exude it in the way you move through the world. And people feel that energy instantly. It's calm, it's confident, it's grounded. It's the kind of energy that doesn't beg to be seen. It naturally draws attention because it's rooted in peace, not in performance. And this is when you start to notice that your relationships feel different. The people you used to chase don't interest you anymore because you've learned to recognize what real connection feels like. You've learned that love shouldn't be a battlefield, it should be a bridge, that you don't need to earn affection. It flows effortlessly when it's genuine, and you no longer fall for potential because you've learned to prioritize emotional availability over promises. And you begin to understand that your person won't be the one who says all the right things. They'll be the one who shows up consistently. They'll be the one who listens not just to your words, but to your silence. They'll notice the little details, not because you pointed them out, but because they genuinely care. They'll treat you with the kind of respect that doesn't need to be requested. And when you finally meet that kind of energy, you'll realize that love doesn't have to be dramatic to be deep. It just has to be real. But before you can meet that kind of person, you have to stop romanticizing inconsistency. You have to stop confusing the thrill of being wanted with the comfort of being valued. You have to let go of the belief that love has to be hard to be worth it. Because when you truly love yourself, you stop being impressed by chaos. You stop mistaking emotional turbulence for passion. You stop craving the roller coaster and start craving the peace. And peace doesn't mean boring, it means balance. It means you've reached a stage in life where you crave alignment over adrenaline. You crave someone who feels like home, not like a hurricane. You crave steady hands instead of empty promises. That's when you know you're growing, when the things that once excited you now exhaust you, and the things that once felt ordinary now feel like peace. And you start seeing love for what it really is, not constant fireworks, but a steady flame that burns brighter over time. It's not about butterflies, it's about stability. It's not about losing yourself in someone else. It's about finding new parts of yourself through someone who encourages your growth. Real love doesn't demand that you shrink to make someone else comfortable. It expands both of you. It makes you softer, not weaker, stronger, not colder. And as you build that version of yourself, the version that no longer tolerates emotional crumbs, you start attracting relationships that reflect that strength. Because you've learned to set standards not from ego, but from self-respect, you no longer tolerate behavior that confuses your heart, manipulates your emotions, or drains your spirit. You've outgrown the need to be chosen by people who aren't ready to choose themselves. And that's when love stops being about finding the right person and starts being about recognizing them. Because your person won't make you question your worth, they'll remind you of it. They won't play games, they'll communicate. They won't keep you guessing, they'll bring clarity, and you won't have to chase their energy because it will already be meeting you halfway. But that kind of love requires patience, the kind that trusts the timing of your life. You'll need to resist the urge to settle just because you're tired of waiting. Because every time you settle, You send the message to the universe that you're willing to accept less than what you deserve. And love that's rushed rarely lasts. Love that's forced rarely flows. The right person is not someone you find through desperation. They're someone who finds you in alignment. And while you wait, life will test you. You'll meet people who feel close but aren't quite right. You'll be tempted to compromise. But that's where you grow strongest, when you choose peace over potential, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over attention. Every time you choose to walk away from what isn't right, you move one step closer to what is. And the beauty of this journey is that love will no longer be something you fear losing. Because once you've built it within yourself, you realize that no one can take it away. You'll no longer cling out of fear, you'll connect out of choice. You'll no longer say, I need you. You'll say, I want to share this life with you. And that subtle shift, from need to choice, is the mark of emotional maturity. It's what separates attachment from connection and fantasy from fulfillment. And you'll notice that when love finally arrives, it won't feel like something you're falling into, it'll feel like something you're rising with. You'll rise together, you'll grow together, you'll challenge each other to be better without trying to change each other. And the beauty of that dynamic is that it doesn't drain you, it energizes you. It gives you space to breathe, space to dream, space to evolve. And because your person won't be your whole world, they'll be the one who makes your world even bigger. They'll encourage your independence, not take it away. They'll love your ambition, not fear it. They'll admire your strength, not compete with it. They'll be your biggest supporter, but they'll also hold you accountable when you forget your power. That's what real love feels like. It's partnership without possession, closeness without control. And in that love, you'll finally understand why the journey took so long. You'll look back on the heartbreaks, the loneliness, the confusion, and you'll see that all of it was necessary. You had to learn to stand alone so you could stand tall in love. You had to learn the difference between loneliness and peace. You had to outgrow the version of yourself that accepted less, because if love had come earlier, you wouldn't have been ready to receive it. And you had to first build the capacity to hold love, not just crave it, to nurture it, not just need it, to sustain it, not just stumble into it. Love, at its highest form, requires strength, the strength to stay soft, to forgive, to communicate, to keep showing up. And that kind of strength can only come from self-awareness, from knowing who you are, what you value, and what kind of love aligns with that truth. And so every time you doubt the process, remind yourself, you're not waiting for love, you're preparing for it. You're growing into the version of yourself that won't sabotage the love you're meant to keep. You're clearing space for the connection that will nourish your soul, not deplete it. You're learning the emotional language that your future relationship will speak fluently. You're building the foundation that will make that love not just possible, but sustainable. And when that love finally arrives, it won't need to prove itself. It'll feel effortless in the ways that matter and challenging in the ways that make you better. It won't demand that you perform. It will invite you to rest. It won't make you feel small. It will remind you of your power. And it won't just fit into your life. It will expand it in ways you never imagined. And that's what happens when you stop chasing love and start becoming it. When you stop waiting for the one and start living like the one. When you stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for truth. Because love is not something you find. It's something you create when two people have done the work to be ready for it. And when that happens, it doesn't just change your relationship, it changes your entire life.